We're in the middle of this really fundamental shift in what AI is and what it can do. For so long, we've thought of AI as this passive tool, right? You ask it a question, it gives you an answer. But that's all starting to change. We are moving into a new era, one where AI can actively solve problems all on its own. Today, we're going to break down the rise of AI agents.
So what's the big difference here? Well, the AI we're all used to, that's predictive AI. It needs a person, you, to guide every single step. It's super powerful for sure, but it's passive. AI agents, though, they are a whole new ballgame. You don't give them a step-by-step list, you give them a goal, and they figure out how to get there, all by themselves. They're active, they're goal-oriented, and they are self-directed.
Okay, so let's get into it and really see what makes an agent tick. And to understand how they're built, we can use this really simple but powerful analogy. Just think of an AI agent as having a brain, a pair of hands, and a nervous system.
First up, the brain. This is the language model, or LM. This is the core reasoning engine. It's the part that processes all the information, weighs the different options, and basically, it's what allows the agent to think and come up with a plan to tackle a problem.
But a brain isn't much use without a way to interact with the world, right? That's where the hands come in. We call these tools, and they are absolutely crucial because they connect all that thinking to the real world. Tools are what let an agent actually do stuff. Call an API, search through a database, or even write and execute its own code. This is the part that moves an agent beyond just spitting out text to actually getting things done. And finally, we have the nervous system. This is the orchestration layer. And honestly, this is where the magic happens, because it connects the brain to the hands. It manages the entire process, it gives the agent its memory, and it executes the grand strategy, deciding when it's time to think and when it's time to act. So we have the brain, the hands, and the nervous system. Pretty cool. Now let's look at how all these pieces come together to form the agent's core process for actually solving problems. And it all comes down to a continuous cycle. At its heart, every agent runs on this simple but incredibly powerful loop. Think, act, observe. First, it thinks. It analyzes the goal and breaks it down into a plan. Then it acts. It uses a tool to execute the next step in that plan. And finally, it observes. It looks at the result of its action, learns from it, and then it just repeats that cycle over and over again until the job is done. Okay, let's make this real with a quick example. A customer asks, "Where's my order?" Simple question, right? Well, the agent first thinks and creates a plan. Okay, I need to find the order, then get the tracking number, then check the status. Then it acts, calling a tool to find the order. It observes the result. Boom, it's got the tracking number. So it acts again, this time using a tool to get the shipping status. It observes the status is out for delivery, and then finally, it reports the answer back to the user. See? It's that whole loop in action, breaking down a problem step by step. Now, it's really important to get this. Not all agents are created equal. They actually exist on this whole spectrum of capability. They've been evolving from these pretty simple systems into something way more complex and way more powerful. We can kind of think about this evolution in levels. At level 0, you've just got the thinker. That's the core brain, the model, but with no tools. At level 1, you get the doer, which is an agent that's connected to tools and can actually act in the world. Level 2 gives us the strategist, which can plan out complex multi-step tasks. And then, at level 3, things get really, really interesting with the team.
And this is where it gets mind-blowing. At level 3, we're not just talking about one agent anymore, we're talking about multi-agent systems. You can have a project manager agent that takes a really complex goal, breaks it down into smaller pieces, and then delegates those subtasks to a whole team of specialized agents. Maybe one's a researcher, another's a writer, and a third is a coder. It's literally like a human project team, but it's made entirely of AI.
Okay, so moving from these cool concepts to putting a system into the real world, in production, well, that brings up some pretty serious engineering challenges. I mean, how do you make these autonomous systems truly reliable and secure? This quote just hits the nail on the head. The very thing that makes these models so amazing, their incredible flexibility and creativity, is also what makes them unpredictable. And that's the core challenge, right? How do you harness all that power while making sure they perform reliably and safely every single time? So how do we solve this? Well, a whole new discipline is popping up. For that unpredictability problem, we have something called agent ops. It's a structured way to test, measure, and debug how agents behave. To handle security risks, we use guardrails. These are basically hard-coded rules that prevent an agent from doing anything dangerous. And to stop things from getting chaotic when you have lots of agents, you need central governance to manage the whole fleet.
All right, let's bring this all together. We've looked at what agents are, how they work, and the challenges in building them. But what does this all mean for us? Well, what we're really looking at is an entirely new way for humans and AI to work together.
This isn't just about making workflows a little bit faster or a little more efficient. It's so much bigger than that.
Because when you combine an agent's ability to plan, to problem solve, and to access pretty much all the world's knowledge, you get something that goes way beyond simple automation. They're not just tools anymore. They are truly becoming collaborative partners, capable, adaptable, and powerful new members of our teams.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. As this technology keeps getting better, it's not a question of if we'll be working with AI agents, but how. So it's worth asking yourself, what's the very first goal you would give to your new AI teammate?